Hey guys, this is Mitch from Boise. Just thought I'd call in and let y'all know that you're doing a great job on the podcast. Just doing a bang-up job. I'm not much of a sports fan myself, but thought I'd dip my toes in, see if it tickled the old fancy. And so far, so good. Especially, I thought, what better way to learn about sports and get in on some fantasy stuff? You guys got great fantasy information. Just 2 weeks ago, you had that sports handicapper on. What great information I got from there. I thought, this would be great. Why I'd throw a little money on the sports and maybe enjoy them a little more. So that's what I did. And you know what? Most of them were free and recorded message. Didn't even have to pay for most of them. So here's what I took. I took the Eagles over Cowboys, Patriots over Titans, Lions over Bears, oh my, Bengals over Saints. Just picked up Dez on my fantasy team, by the way, woot woot. And Cardinals over Chiefs, Panthers over Steelers. And the lock of the week, Bucks over Redskins. Ain't no answer for that Fitzmagic fella. Gotta tell you, he's gonna throw at least 3 touchdowns. Might as well throw a few dollars on the over now that I'm thinking about it. I'll go jump online or make that phone call to that sports gambling site, and make sure I get the over on that. Why not take a winner when you know it's gonna be a lock? It's free money, am I right? So guys, keep doing what you're doing. You're so great with all your sports knowledge, and I can't wait to hear the next episode. Maybe I'll call back and let you know how much money I won. Okay, guys, see ya.
The following is a Just Green production brought to you by the Might Be News Network.
What's up, everybody? It's the week of November 12th, 2018. This is Might Be Sports. I'm Taylor Cooper with Kevin Reevy. What up?
I feel bad for Mitch.
Mitch got fucked. He should definitely not have listened to our show.
Oh, shit.
At least that idiot guy that called with sports things, you know what I mean? The sports bets. Free recorded message.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can have... Mitch is going to be angry.
Mitch is probably going to be mad, but I can't wait to find out what Mitch is like when he's mad.
We'll make it up on the next one. I'm sure that the next picks are going to be great. It'll be fun.
CJ's here.
How's it going?
Yo, CJ and I spent some time in the Matrix this past week.
Deep in there. The
Deep-
lady in the red dress.
Deep in the Matrix. We found out how deep the rabbit hole goes, and that is us being on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast. We're back up and updated on iTunes. SoundCloud as always. We're all over the place now. There's no excuses left. You got to listen to everything on the Might Be News Network. So much shit there.
Are you on VHS?
We're on VHS.
Because my dad, he's still struggling. I don't think...
We're on Blu-ray.
He could handle VHS, DVD even.
We're on 3.5-inch floppy.
I can't get him to listen to one of these for the life of me. All I do is want to make you proud, Papa. And I can't get him to listen.
Well, I'm proud of you, Kevin Reevy.
And you know what? Yeah. And you know what? That means the world to me. It makes it all worth it.
Well, later on in this
Bullshit.
episode, you get to hear me be nervous in an interview with Tom McCarthy.
Tom McCarthy, the voice of the Phillies.
Tom McCarthy, the voice of the Phillies, an absolute legend in broadcasting. Works all over the industry, doing all kinds of different things. Me and Kevin Reevy got the chance to talk to him about all kinds of different things.
What a great guy.
Oh, it's
and
great.
You totally blew the opening joke.
I blow the spoiler alert.
Can we explain it so that it makes it better when we...
Yo, that's actually a great idea because we've been sitting here trying to figure out how to make this debacle better.
We spent so much time talking about, okay, everyone is walking up to this guy in the supermarket saying, we getting Machado, we getting Harper. And you know what? Who cares at this point?
Right.
It's been talked about so much that there's nothing you can add to that conversation.
Right.
So we thought it would be awesome if we set it up like we're about to ask about Harper. We'd set it up like, all right, you know what, T-Mac, we got to start with this. Everybody wants to know. There's 2 big free agents out there. Who are the Phillies going to get?
Right.
Dallas Keuchel or Charlie Morton?
Right. Boom. Punchline.
Yeah.
You know.
And you blew it. No, it wasn't that bad.
No, I blew it because he legit answered the question.
But it was one of those things, and it's my fault because Like when you don't have a handle on a name, you got to spend some time on it.
Yeah.
And you didn't totally have the handle on the Dallas Keuchel name.
No.
And it's just one of those things.
You
when
heard
you
me-
go live,
You heard me say it. You heard me say it out loud before we started recording
it's
like
just-
5 times.
that's just how life works.
Just goes to do it. And it's just
Like,
like
you need
blah,
to,
blah.
you need to spend like a day with it, just like saying it like every 10 minutes.
But he legit answered the question, and he legit answered a lot of other great questions as well. It was a great interview.
It was fun.
Second half of the show, probably separate it and put it on what Let's Talk About It, along with another one that we did a few weeks ago, B-Scoop. We got some great interviews on this show. Might as well just compile them all and put them on an episode of Let's Talk About It. Boom, you heard it here first. So
Don't talk about it, do about it. I don't know. That was a dumb comment. You see, I can do it too. Not the yours was dumb, but no.
I know what you mean.
You killed it.
We killed it. It's a good interview.
Good job.
Stay tuned on this show. For now, I want to talk about a few other things. Jimmy Butler. By the time people are hearing this, he starts tonight, Wednesday, for the 76ers. We got rid of Covington and Dario. Thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because Rocco, I didn't know this until like a month ago, that he was first team all defense.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that helps make this trade happen. I don't know if in reality he is that. I mean, we know no one knows more than, a Philadelphia sports fan that watches every game like I do, like you do. Bro, he's not a first team all defense guy.
No.
His defense is great, but he hurts you in a lot of ways that you wouldn't expect a guy showing up on that list would. Especially down the stretch, did not hit key threes. His game was, 3 and D. And the 3 was very lacking when they needed it most last year. So, that coupled with the fact that his contract was always, the minute he signed that contract, I think everyone had in the back of their mind, oh, this guy's going to be traded. It was just too cheap.
Yeah.
It just made too much sense.
Yeah.
So he was always going to be part of a deal. Dario started off slow this year, made them more apt to trade him. It makes sense, especially when you consider the makeup of their team right now. They're getting back a guy, Jimmy Butler, great defensive player.
Yeah.
He can, you plug him in, he replaces, for the most part, the defense that you lost. And Wilson Chandler, they're just getting back now. I think he had like 2 or 3 games under his belt before the trade. He fills the role Dario left. Maybe not quite as good, but for the most part, you're not missing a beat. On paper, this is a great deal. What you don't know is Jimmy Butler a winner? He's
Right.
never been.
Right.
So that's, especially now when you see Carmelo Anthony shift teams and everything goes to shit. Is Jimmy Butler that guy? He could be. We don't know.
Right. Right. He's got to coexist with, like, this is still Joel Embiid's team, right? Like, this isn't Jimmy Butler's team all of a sudden. Like, I feel like that's what we have to wait and see how these relationships go. So, I don't know. We'll see. Bigger story, well, potentially bigger story. We've been talking about it for a little while. Markelle Fultz. He embarrassed himself on the game with the free throw, and he basically pump faked it. Said it slipped out of his hand. In 2018, you go viral for doing shit like that. It's just the way it is. I feel bad for him, but
there might be an explanation.
there might be an explanation.
And we
actually broke this fucking story, people.
We kind of broke this story.
I didn't hear about it at all until we talked to Scoop B. This was a couple weeks ago.
This is about a month ago. But I mean, full disclosure. So we felt we didn't want to make this incredibly public because we felt bad. We didn't know if this was information he felt comfortable, throwing out there.
Right.
So we didn't want to publicize the hell out of, oh, this is what Scoop B said, and get him in trouble for
Right.
something he might not have meant to say.
Right. But
So now it's official.
I have a time-space continuum button, and I can push that, and we can hear what Scoop B said. Here it is.
Let's be honest. I mean, Markel Fultz's situation last season came about because of a motorcycle accident. I don't know if that's common knowledge.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Well, you heard it first.
So yeah, expound on that, because that's the first time I'm hearing about this.
Yes. So, I told you my man is going to be mad. So, it happened with the motorcycle accident, and it really, a small thing. The Sixers are familiar with it. And basically, it messed up the rotation of his shoulder and his shooting hand. That's why, he's in a situation. He was looking like Sanaa Lathan and you on Love and Basketball when she took that shot and her coach made her stand there with that flick of the wrist. It's like, what do you expect? The guy got hurt. He's coming back from an injury. You tease him, but, I mean, there are certain clauses and stuff with accidents and things of that sort. But when it really comes down to it with Markel Fultz and that situation, it takes time. It's more than just a shot rhythm. It's a confidence rhythm.
So that was Scoop B from Scoop B Radio. You can find him on iTunes podcast and stuff. We had him on a show, I guess, about a month ago now, and that's when we initially found that out about Markel Fultz motorcycle accident.
So now he's putting it out there, and this is now news, and it's going around. It's being talked about. But you heard it here first.
Fucking heard it here first. Maybe not now, but some people fucking did for sure.
And it's interesting because, I mean, it explains a lot, but it also
makes sense to me.
It doesn't account for the fact that he's a timid guy. He's a weird personality that I don't love. I don't love his... People call him smooth. And I always equate smooth, quote-unquote smooth, with slow. He's kind of a slow guy. A lot of the things they said about Evan Turner, you could say about Markel Fultz. Neither guy worked out. I don't love the way he brings the ball up the court. It's a lackadaisical... It's a weird thing about him. He's very... Even his eyes. He looks half asleep most of the time.
Yeah, he does. He does.
And you could fairly say, it doesn't matter. What do these things matter? Right. But I can't find another NBA superstar that was the same way. I can't compare him to anyone.
Right.
If I can't compare him to anyone, and he's playing like shit, then what do I have to go off of?
Right.
I mean, he would have to defy all of this to be a great NBA player.
Right.
So you add in this injury stuff, not good. I think that kind of shook his confidence.
Yeah.
If it's true. I mean, all this stuff is alleged. I mean, we don't know if it's true.
Right.
Someone's got to do a deep dive here. So, I mean, we'll see. This might be news.
It might be news
in the coming weeks.
Straight up. It might be. Let's move on to the Eagles. And then we're going to do a quick TMZ rapid fire. And then the Tom McCarthy interview. Eagles. Meltdown. Is it a meltdown?
It's a meltdown.
It's a meltdown. Lost to the Cowboys at home. That's 3 straight home games they lost. Super Bowl hangover. Did Doug P lose the locker room? What's going on with the Eagles, in your opinion?
I think you start to look at the guys that he's missing right now, and the bodies are piling up.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there might have been like a sense in the team that, we can handle anything because we did last year. Well, last year, what was their mentality? Because they didn't have last year to fall back on. They couldn't say, well, we'll be fine because we had last year. No, they were venturing in the unknown. They had all these injuries pile up, and they just thought, we have to somehow find a way to win.
Yeah.
I wonder if soft is a harsh word, but I wonder if it makes you soft. Once you do it once, the next year, if the same kind of things pile up, if you think, oh, we've been down this road before, we can do it again. If it makes you a little bit soft, because You've been to the mountaintop. You've done it.
Right.
And now that you have that in your mind, you feel like, oh, well, we did it before. It's easy. We could do it.
CJ, what do you think?
Oh, I definitely agree with that statement. It's like if, once again, going to the mountaintop. So you go to the mountaintop twice. You get a flat tire. You're like, first time, this sucks. I'm going to have to go do this, and you endure it. Second time it happens, you're like, oh, this happened last time. I got this. And then you're freezing to death before you reach the summit.
Right.
Wow, Craig. Well done.
I mean, I can actually, you know what? Now that you explain it that way, I can kind of put this in my own life experience. So, you know, I don't know if anybody knows this. I bring it up every podcast, but me and my buddy Ryan Spader wrote a book. And
You're writing another one?
so we're writing another one. And the update to our baseball book is so intense that it's like an entirely new book. So once we got this deadline with plenty of time, and I'm kind of like a last minute guy, but even this time was intense. So we didn't totally realize what we were in for, but we knew, well, we did it the first time. We're fine. We let it go till the last possible minute. And then we're working every day, round the clock. And it's insane. We're working ourselves silly
Yeah.
because in our minds, we're thinking, well, the first time was fine. We figured it out. We got it done. It's easy. When we reached the adversity this time around, we thought the same thing. And then we got more behind and more behind. Wasn't good.
One thing that I can say is that defense, certainly defensive back secondary, is butter soft. It's abysmal. We were giving up 3rd and 15. We're giving up 3rd and 15s this season like it's our job. Straight up.
But that first 3rd and 15, that was the weirdest prevent defense I've ever seen in, was it the second quarter at that point? The first quarter? It was a weird time.
Yeah.
The second quarter, I think, to have a prevent defense like you'd see at the end of a game.
Right.
When you're up and teams on like the 10-yard line, 4th and 20. This was a 3rd and 15, generally around midfield. And they had 3 guys everybody else backed up. You're giving up a 10-yard pass and then hoping you tackle the guy before the line. They did to create a 4th and 1. And everyone knew they were going for it at that point.
Right.
You shouldn't play to prevent them from getting the first down. You got to prevent them from going for it on 4th. They have a very dangerous running back who can get pretty much every 4th down. Or a quarterback who can run it. I mean, that's not a position you want to put yourself in. You're at 3rd and 15. Just keep your regular defense out there. It's been working. Why change it up? This weird 3 guys on.
Yeah.
And everybody else back. It's weird.
I don't know. I'm still going to predict them to take the East, though, since it's a mediocre division
The
this
Redskins
year.
are terrible, but they keep winning games.
Yeah. It's
But we play them twice still.
we do. I mean, the Cowboys are terrible too. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott owned the Eagles defense Sunday night. It was terrible. Do we fire Jim? Are they going to fire Jim Schwartz after the season?
I don't think you can. I mean, they could to change it up, but they need a change of personnel.
It's not
Really
just the
bad
defense.
personnel.
It's not just the defense. It's not. And we were supposed to be deep, in a lot of these positions. It's just, I feel like it's going downhill fast.
I don't know who the cornerback. I don't know who the 3rd cornerback is right now. I have no idea
Right. I don't.
because Ronald Darby's now out with an ACL.
Yep.
So I don't know who's left. I know they're getting back. His name is escaping me. The guy we drafted in the 2nd round 2 years ago.
Sidney Jones.
Sidney Jones is coming back.
Yeah.
but I don't think by next week.
No, I don't. I don't think so.
But it's okay because thankfully we're just playing the Saints next week.
Yeah, right.
They have like a 40-year-old quarterback
Who's destroying everybody.
who's their best wide receiver, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dude off the street. We're fine. Yeah, we'll be fine. 40-year-old quarterback, Michael Thomas.
They're going to put up 40 on the Eagles.
Yeah. It's not going to be good.
No.
This is actually, it reminds me of a game in the Michael Vick era where we played Aaron Rodgers at the height of his powers. And we were okay then, but we were going to Green Bay. Oh, this is going to be ugly. And Aaron Rodgers just scoring on every drive. And we tried. We scored like 21, maybe.
Yeah.
And they scored like 48. It was just brutal. It's just nothing. You cannot stop that machine. That's going to be next week.
If last week was any indication, I mean, because the Cowboys compared to the Saints, it's a pretty drastic change. So I don't know. It's depressing. It's upsetting. Is this a Super Bowl hangover?
Well, I mean, I guess it is, but hey, we won the Super Bowl last year. Who
I'm
gives
down
a
with
shit?
it. Listen, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
It's like that old
I'm
thing.
disappointed, but also
disappointed.
I'm still on the Super Bowl high.
Oh, I'm still hype. Are you kidding me?
So it's all good.
As long as they take the East. That's my only goal for them.
I would like to see that.
We got Jimmy Butler. We're getting Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
More importantly, we're getting Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton, real salt of the earth guy, by the way. Do you get it? Morton?
Oh, yeah, I do now.
All right, moving on.
Nice. TMZ rapid fire.
All right.
We need a sound effect for this. We need like a
Rapid fire.
There you go. LA Rams, free tickets to victims, responders of shooting and wildfires.
Say it again.
LA Rams, free tickets to victims, responders of shooting and wildfires.
So I know what happened just there. We were expecting something ridiculous to make fun of, and then you went all serious on us.
Yeah. That's
So now
what
we just got to
happened.
be like, oh,
Thoughts and prayers.
well, that's great. Next.
No, not next.
I
That's
mean-
that's pretty awesome.
I mean, it's great. That's what I'm saying. It's great.
That's
But I mean,
really
we were
great.
expecting something to make fun of, and it's not. That's great.
Des Bryant surgery. It was a success.
So that means that it happened.
Success.
He went through it. He survived.
Quote
He
unquote.
survived. That's what this success means. That he's alive.
This is a relative comment because
You know what? As much
Because
as
he
I
still has rehab to do and stuff like that.
Of course, I don't like Des Bryant as a football player because he was a longtime Cowboy, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I feel genuinely bad for the dude.
right.
I feel genuinely bad for the dude.
I can separate the man from
Yeah,
the team.
absolutely. I feel genuinely bad for the dude. And I thought it was really cool. There was a bunch of players around the league that put up the X, when they scored or had a
Right.
good play this week or this past
And I
week.
think
That was cool.
more so when you get like denounced by your team.
Yeah. It was a
So like
gross
he's
exit.
not
Yeah.
a Cowboy anymore.
Yeah, right. It was bad.
He fucking hates those guys.
Yeah, right.
So I'm on Team Dez.
I'm with it. Speedy recovery, Dez.
Dan Rather, Giants are garbage, but I love Eli Manning.
So Dan Rather's still alive. He's still a thing.
And he has very strong opinions about a lot of things. Eli Manning apparently one of them. I think Eli is washed up in trash.
It's just so you can't have that opinion. It's insane. First of all, there's a weird thing happening in the NFL, and everyone has to get on board with this because it's happening. Get on board. It's going on right now, and it's going to be the future of the NFL. There are great quarterbacks on almost every team, and this is the new normal. Get used to it. There was such a long period of time where teams were starving for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And we have this era of amazing athletes and technological advancements that make amazing athletes. Did you really think that there would only be 6 great quarterbacks every year moving forward? No way. Right now, technology has caught up. There are 20 great quarterbacks in the NFL right now. 20, at least.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep going that way. It might get so advanced that there's going to be multiple teams with 2 great quarterbacks just because why not? Have
Right.
a backup. And then you're going to see a weird set of rule changes going to roll back to protect the quarterback thing because why? There's going to be a lot of great quarterbacks out there, not enough starting quarterback positions. Forget this whole protect the quarterback stuff.
Yeah.
You saw a little bit of it last year where Nick Foles, backup quarterback, won the Super Bowl. Dude, this is the new normal.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 articles related to the same thing. So Steelers believe Le'Veon Bell will report. Hours later, Le'Veon Bell doesn't report, out for season, forfeits $14.5 million.
Le'Veon. Just saying.
Sorry.
Le'Veon Bell. But wait, real quick, just want to put a bow on all this. What I'm saying about the quarterbacks is Eli is so bad. There's no reason to protect him or to say that he's my guy moving forward. Fuck him. Drop him. You have amazing options.
It's happened to living legends. Eli won 2 Super Bowls. Whether they were complete luck or not, it doesn't matter. He did it. It happened.
And you'll be fine.
He's a legend.
Right now, the Giants, drop him now. You'll be fine. You'll get your franchise quarterback.
He's a future Hall of Famer.
There's a lot of them out there.
Eli?
Let's not get into that. It's too long. You're wrong, but we're not going to get into that. That's why it's too big a conversation. Wait, what was the last you said?
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell. All right, real quick. I don't understand this. He gives up $14.5 million. So I tweeted about this earlier and said, I cannot comprehend a situation where a young player under the age of 28 wants to play football, is healthy enough to play football, and voluntarily gives up $14.5 million. Doesn't make sense. It's not logical in any scenario you give me. Not logical at all whatsoever. Under those parameters. Doesn't make sense, right? So, I mean, under those parameters, you cannot give me a situation where a player that is under 28, wants to play football,
right,
is healthy enough to play football, and says no to $14.5 million.
Le'Veon Bell's situation is slightly different, right? Because they franchised him multiple times when he didn't want him to. He's been looking for a long-term deal. At this point, he has disdain for the front office there. And he said last year that if they didn't give him a long-term deal and if they franchised him again, he might retire.
So you agree that it's pride?
It's absolutely pride. 1,000%.
A problem because he still apparently wants to play in the NFL.
He does.
If he still wants to play in the NFL, he destroyed his value.
Right.
He had an opportunity he could have played this one more year. Forget your health. Play this one more year. You'll make your money.
Yeah.
You could walk away after that.
But check this out. So where, from his standpoint, I believe, when you're in the NFL, the only time that you can go find another job, so to speak, in our terms, is during free agency. And even then, you're shopping yourself around. Whoever picks you up, whatever. But if he were to get hurt this year, he wouldn't be able to do that because who knows? Who knows who would pick him up by then? He wanted a long-term deal. He wants a better employer. He wants a better deal. He wants to play for a team that thinks that he's worth not just this $14 million, but that plus however many years. You know what I mean? Something that covers him in a longer term situation, whereas the franchise tag is just 1 year. So he made good on his word. He told him last year that this is what I was going to do if you did this to me again, and they did it. So
yeah, but
he wants out. That's why
the reason why they called this bluff is because it was a terrible bluff. Because if you're willing to sit out, and forego $14.5 million, it doesn't matter what you make over the following years. you'll never make more than if you would have played out that 14.5
Agreed.
and then gotten your long term. First of all, he had a long term offer
Well, what
that
if
would have made him the richest running back in the history of the NFL. He said not enough money.
you're saying a complete hypothetical because he could have played this year, career-ending injury.
Right.
He'd be in a better spot if that played out. He'd be in a much better spot now than he is right now. Because
You think so?
right now he's got none of that 14.5
Yeah.
and a hypothetical long-term deal that I'm sure is going to be out there. But he was looking for money that was outrageous. He was looking to not only get paid more money than any other running back in the NFL. He was looking for an annual increase of somewhere around $6 to $8 million per year more than the next highest earning running back.
Right. I'm wondering how much of that has to do with the disdain, the disgruntledness. Do you think that he's going to go to some other team during free agency and say that he wants that? I
No.
don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it has to do totally with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Somebody in the front office, whether it's the owner, the general manager, or Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin wants no parts of this shit. Like during his press conference, I guess a couple days ago, he was just, how his eyes get all big when he's mad about shit. I can't imagine being in his position, answering questions about that shit every day for the past how long? So it's a sloppy situation. And I don't think that his value decreased. I think that anybody that asks him, he's going to tell him straight up, I just didn't want to be there anymore.
But why would you give him money when you see his backup just does exactly what he was
his
doing?
backup's been killing it. Killing it.
So why would you sign a running back when, first of all, the running back position is obsolete right now?
Right, sure. Yeah. Short.
He's got a
short
lot of
lifespan.
value.
Yeah.
But he's clearly not going to get what he wanted at the start of this season.
He said last year that if they franchised him, he might retire. He might.
And that was a bluff.
He might. It might be.
He didn't show up. So.
He didn't show up. He held up on his end.
But the parameters that I set, once again, if you got a player under the age of 28 that wants to play and is healthy enough to play and gave up forgoes $14.5 million, there's two options. One, his pride got to him and he made a terrible mistake. Or two, there's something we don't know. I wonder if there's something we don't know.
There's got to be.
Is there a possibility that, and I don't know anything about this, I'm throwing this out there out of thin air. I have no idea.
This is all allegedly.
Could there be like a steroid thing where maybe he might have caught wind of maybe some substance he was taking that he realized, shit, this is going to make me fail a test. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is.
Maybe.
But why would you? All I'm saying is this is entirely illogical unless his pride just fucked with him.
Oh no, see, it's a 1,000% pride thing to me. Which
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I'm with it, whatever, because like he knows what he wants and he's
He
trying
got
to get
in
it.
too deep, I think,
He's
Yeah,
sticking to his guns
because he could have come back, and I think if it was just coming back and making his money, he could have come back today, on Tuesday, and made whatever he would make the rest of the year, and it's still a godsend. It's still great. It's still a great haul. He's in good shape, but he has to admit fault. Not only to his teammates. He's got to face those guys.
Yeah.
That's tough.
yeah.
I don't think he wanted to do that. He wanted
Yeah.
to stick to his guns and say, hey, this was my decision. I'm sticking to it. Done.
Next.
Jay-Z hits up Rams game in Los Angeles. Is he cool with the NFL?
Of course he's cool with the NFL. He just told him he didn't want to do the halftime show. I mean,
Well, he said the issue was
with the
whole-
Colin Kaepernick thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
The NFL is cool, so they're gonna go. I mean, the NFL is cool. He's gonna go to an NFL game. I mean, it's all this extracurricular stuff. It doesn't actually matter as much as people want to say it does on Twitter.
I mean, it is what it is, right? I think Colin Kaepernick should be playing in the NFL, but I watch every week.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
Dolphins fan sues team over stadium accident. You screwed up my toe forever and my life. So he was drinking at one of the bars in the Dolphin Stadium, marble bar, collapses down onto his toe. He removes his shoe, part of his big toe's missing.
Wow.
I've been there.
And that's why I brought up the article.
All right, so I've had I've had two situations where, all right, so the greatest, I'll make this quick. The greatest sports time of the year is Thursday, March Madness Thursday. And it falls right around St. Patrick's Day as well, so you know where this is
Occasionally
going.
together.
There's a bar in Westchester. What's the name?
Jitters.
2 years in a row, I severely stubbed my toe stumbling into the bathroom of Jitters. And
Yep.
it's got this weird half step, and I wear sandals year round.
You've told this story, I believe.
I've told this on the podcast.
Not on this show.
Oh, not on the show?
Oh, all right. So yeah, so I wear sandals year round. So yeah, I mean, come March, absolutely, and it's in the heart of sandal territory, and it's got this weird half step at Jitters. And when you're drunk, hey, you walk in, you don't notice, you're just walking with your normal gait, and then boom. 2 years in a row, I lost my the nail on my big toe.
He rips the nail off because he misses the step and catches the ledge under his big toenail.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's really gross.
So I mean, I
He
feel
can
this
relate.
guy's pain. I can relate, but really, I mean, this has got to be a class action lawsuit against Jitters. It might be just. I might be the only one. I don't know if that qualifies as class action.
No, you need more than one.
Well, what about me and then the past version of me? Does that count as two people? Like 2016 me and 2015 me.
Well, we could hit the time space.
Those
line
were
and
two
we could
different
interview
people,
you.
all right? I grew a lot as a man between those two instances. I don't know. Can we do one more? What do we got time-wise?
Do one more.
Do one more.
All right. Jimmy Butler embraces Sixers GM at Minneapolis Airport.
Good. Welcome to Philly. Let's fucking get it.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm going to say about that is Jimmy Butler, hopefully he's not a Carmelo Anthony. I want him to be the difference maker.
Be it, Jimmy
The East
Butler.
is weak. The East is really, really weak right now. If Toronto is all we're worried about, Canada, we can take down Canada. Come on, really?
You got Kyrie throwing balls in the stands, believing in flat
Right.
Earth.
Hey,
Smash that.
I want you to, in post, put down like some patriotic music against this. All right? Because you know what? Canada, you can't beat us with your Kawhi Leonard. We got Jimmy Butler. We got America. Oh, yeah. What are the Sixers colors? Red, white, and blue, bitch.
Wow.
We're going to do this. You can't take us down. Boston Celtics. Yeah, they're patriotic. Screw them. They're Irish crap. We know where they come from. It's not America. 76ers, Philadelphia, the birthplace of a nation.
Wow.
Okay, Toronto, we're coming for you. We
Wow.
got this. Jimmy Butler,
Jimmy Butler. dude.
Joel Embiid.
Ben Simmons.
Can I get
with
an amen?
Ben Simmons with a jump shot.
Amen.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons needs to get a fucking jump shot.
We got this.
Pronto.
Toronto, we're coming for you. Game over. And that's all I got to say about that.
Well, excellent job. We're going to take a break and come back with an exclusive interview with play-by-play announcer Tom McCarthy. We'll be right
T-Mac.
back. Hey, it's Taylor Cooper.
Co-host Kev.
And I'm co-host Dan. I have to bring something up that's been bugging the shit out of me about your wedding.
What?
You've known me a long time,
Yeah.
all right?
You've known both of us a long time.
Long
You've
time.
known
We're on
Kev
the-
a long time.
Fucking radio show together.
Yeah,
We are your brothers.
correct.
Why the fuck was I in the corner?
Yo,
Both of us.
We
Yo.
were the furthest away from the bar. We were the furthest away from the food. It was like, I'm just going to put you guys in the corner because I don't want to see you.
check out Might Be News on mbnnetwork.com. Also, SoundCloud and iTunes. New episodes every Monday. All right, with us tonight on Might Be Sports, a legendary play-by-play announcer for the Phillies. He's worked with the Mets. He's done all kinds of things. Tom McCarthy, welcome to Might Be Sports. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
So I'm sure people ask you all the time. You know, they probably come up to you all the time and ask you different Phillies, free agency, all kinds of stuff. What do you think? There's a couple major free agents out there right now. Do you think that the Phillies are going to get Dallas Keuchel, or Charlie Morton?
That's a good question. You know, the Phillies had Charlie Morton a couple of years ago, and I liked him a lot. And he unfortunately injured his hamstring running up the first base line in a bunt attempt. I would think that out of those two, and I don't know this exactly, but I would think out of those two that it would probably be Charlie Morton that they would probably look at more than Keuchel. And listen, I like Dallas Keuchel a lot. I mean, he's a former Cy Young Award winner. He's obviously got a lot of abilities. He's one of those touch and feel guys where his fastball and his off-speed stuff have to have a good separation. That's sort of gone down a little bit recently. If they got him, it would be great. But I think if they do, if you're going to ask me between those two, I would think it's more Charlie Morton than it would be Keuchel.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So obviously we're joking around a little bit. We set it up like, we want to talk about, Manny Machado and Bryce Harper.
Everybody's asked you that.
I thought you guys were just going to build for that one. Yeah,
but really, how many times you get asked in like a supermarket, are we getting Manny? Are we getting Bryce?
It's funny. I did the Penn State-Wisconsin game last Saturday, and walking through the parking lot, I always forget that I'm obviously in Happy Valley, so it's really Phillies country. And one person after another kept asking me, which one are we going to get? Machado or Harper? We're going to get both. And, it's constant. I mean, it's almost every day. And I think that's the good thing about where the Phillies are right now, is that they're kind of like they were in 09, 10, 11, 12, where people expect that they're going to make a move that's going to make them a better team. And, I think that's the best part about all this, is that they're in position where they can make this kind of move. Now, will the dollar figures match what these guys are looking for? I mean, that's totally up to the player more than anything else, but they're definitely going to be in the mix for both of those guys.
So what about 01 when we got Jim Thome? Does it remind you of that time period all when we need a guy to like legitimize the team?
Yeah, I think we're close to that. We might even be a little beyond that. And I say that only because even though he didn't have a great year, I think the signing of Arrieta was a pretty good indication that the Phillies, meant business, that they were going to go after somebody that would hopefully make them better. And that was, in 2018. Now, as it turned out, Jake had a 500 season, but it still was a great indication of what they want to do as an organization, that they're not sitting on, just the team that they have, that they're certainly open to bringing in other players. And I think that's a big deal.
Is there a Philly that you expect to have a jump out year next year? Somebody that they've been developing, somebody that's kind of due. Who is that for you?
Well, I think if he stays with the team, and obviously I think that's it's a big if. I think if he stays with the team, I think Odubel has to have a big year.
Really?
And I know that he's had all-star years. He had an all-star year several years ago, but I think that he needs to rebound because if he's on the team and if he's playing center field for the Phillies, he's got to be better than what he was this past year. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree with that? I mean, he has to be better.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the talent's there. It's the polarizing nature of who he is and how he plays the game.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, he's one of my favorite people. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's just a really good kid. I saw some of the video the other day. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but he's been working out with Miguel Cabrera. That can't hurt. Obviously, that can't hurt.
Sure.
So, and he looked good. Like, he looked physically in good shape. And quite honestly, he wasn't in great shape last year when spring training rolled around. He just wasn't. Right. So, for him, and I also think that unless they go out and get a catcher, which I don't think they're going to, I think Jorge Alfaro has to have a big year, too. I think he has to take another step defensively. And I think it would be nice if he took another step offensively. And, he's got a great arm. We all know that. But I think, internally, those are the two guys that probably have to take a step forward.
Okay. Great answer. I agree. I mean, they all got to do better, but
I mean, if Odubel if he can bring it to another level,
right?
Yeah,
I think his talent level. It's scary what he can do.
Mixed,
but
with
it always seems like he was always going at like 80%.
Mixed with a potential free agent signing that they're looking at. Any of these guys that we've mentioned already.
Yeah, I mean, but you have guys like Harper, obviously. You have Brantley from the Indians. I mean, AJ Pollock is also out there too. I don't know if they would take a chance on him because he's been so injured. But I mean, there's obviously guys out there that they could conceivably go to. I don't think they want to because they've got, Odubel's contract is a very, organization friendly contract, and like we just said, he does have amazing talent. It's just being able to put it together.
Right.
You have a very, very incredible career. I was going through some of it, doing some research today, getting ready to talk to you, and it's just incredible, all the different games that you've called, different organizations that you've worked for. One question that I really wanted to know, when you worked for the Phillies for a long time, then you went to the Mets, and then you came back. What was that experience like, and did you catch any heat from any of from either fan base?
I did catch heat when I came back, which it's natural because when I left the Phillies after 5 years, the Mets gave me an opportunity to do more radio and be on the air the entire game. Whereas with the Phillies, I was doing pre and post and doing 2 innings of play-by-play, which I was really thankful for. But the Mets gave me an opportunity to do more. And I guess at the time I was 36 years old, I had been in the big leagues for 5 years. I wanted to do more. I wanted to be able to broaden my horizons a little bit, and the Mets were nice enough to give me that opportunity. I did grow up a Mets fan, so it was even though I had been with the Phillies for 5 years, I was obviously very familiar with the organization. But yeah, I didn't get as much when I went from the Phillies to the Mets, but when I came back from the Mets to the Phillies, I still hear stuff about being a Mets fan growing up. That's just natural. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. I actually laugh at it a lot of times, but it was a great experience because it made me better as a broadcaster, and that is exactly what you want to do. You just want to keep getting better as a broadcaster, and it definitely did that for me.
I can't imagine going from one rival team directly to the next and directly back. That had to be kind of an intense experience.
Yeah, it was cool though. I mean, it was it was cool because it was within the same division. I mean, I was there for just 2 years, and I probably thought I was going to be there a lot longer. But when the Phillies called and asked if I would come back to do TV, I mean, that was family to me. I mean, even though I was in New York doing the Mets games, the Phillies were still family to me. So it was sort of it was kind of an easy decision for me to just pop back.
There's got to be a ton of preparation that goes into everything that you do professionally. What's the difference? I mean, in levels of preparation, which one's easier or harder, or is there one between like football and baseball per se?
I think, like I'm right now, as you guys were calling, I was getting my book ready. I'm doing Thursday Night Football. I'm doing Seattle and Green Bay on radio. And, for me, preparing for a football game on TV is probably the hardest thing to do. Mm-hmm. And it's twofold. I mean, you're not only getting ready for the game, which I normally do, from a radio standpoint, but you're also, there are so many meetings that get you prepared for those games. So it's really, there's a pretty good intensity that's part of, that's part of doing the NFL. And I really enjoy that part of it.
And so are the meetings with actual players? How does that work?
Yeah, so I meet with players. I meet with coaches. You name it. I mean, it's sometimes I'll go down, when I did the Broncos-Texans game a couple weeks ago, I went and sought after the strength and conditioning coach because there was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Philip Lindsay, who I wasn't that familiar with going into that, but he's a, free agent that the Broncos picked up from Colorado, University of Colorado. And he's really good. And the strength and conditioning coach for the Broncos worked him out during the offseason before he was named the strength and conditioning coach. So I kind of got some insight from him that I used during the telecast. So it's just really, it's a great labor, but TV to me is like nothing I ever do broadcasting. There's so much involved and there's so much intensity to it. It's just a huge animal to deal with, and I love it.
It's really intense. I went to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and I was just shocked by the difference between live TV broadcasting and just doing radio. And just obviously, there's so many more moving parts, and I can't imagine doing that as precise as you do in a live format. It's just absolutely incredible.
Well, that's part of what I always tell people is that it is live, and we're all human beings, so there are going to be mistakes. I mean, whether it be grammatical mistakes or if you misidentify somebody from time to time, you try to limit that as much as possible. But it's live TV. I mean, think about if we just went out to dinner and we had, we were just having a conversation, and how many times we would say or use a word out of context. That's just the way it is. I mean, you try to limit it, but it's pretty incredible though. There's not a better natural high than getting behind a microphone, I don't think.
I agree.
And every small mistake is going to be, jumped on Twitter and all that.
Yeah, especially now with mistakes and things like that, you can almost go viral.
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of it. I mean, people always ask me all the time because I mean, you do get instant gratification or instant criticism on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever. Whatever your social media driving force is, and I honestly don't let it affect me at all, because I know when I've done something incorrectly and when I've done something right. I mean, I'm as much a perfectionist as anybody, and it's there's nobody harder than me on what whether I do something right or wrong.
Right.
But that's great. I mean, because I think right now it's hard to be universally liked. Like this day and age, you can't be universally loved as a broadcaster. It doesn't exist.
No, right? I think that's when I was younger, I think I always felt like I could go from house to house and make everybody like me. But you just can't do that. I mean, it's just unfortunately you're not going to have everybody like you. That's just all part of it. You just got to do your job, do it the best way you can, and I love it, and I don't take any of it for granted. And I pass that on to my kids. I mean, just you can't take anything for granted.
But that being said, you are pretty. I mean, you are loved in this city.
Well, I love this city. I mean, this place is. There's not. I mean, I grew up in central New Jersey, so I grew up going to games in New York, but also my dad would take us to at least 5 or 6 Phillies games a year, because it was a lot easier to get to it sometimes than going to New York. I love everything about this city. It's just I love the passion. I love the intensity. I think it's unlike any city I think in the country. I really believe that, and I just love. I was in downtown today in Center City, kind of just walking around, running some errands, and I sat there thinking, this is just an incredible place to be part of the sports world.
It is, and the climate of our sports right now is just so crazy. I mean, obviously the Eagles winning a Super Bowl last year, the Sixers and the process, and the Phillies with everything that they're working on. Are they going to get this free agent or that free agent? Jimmy Butler coming to town. It really is, and you kind of get a sense that the fans are pretty well educated in what they want, what they expect, and that's got to have some sort of almost a safety net for you working for the Phillies, because you're dealing with a fan base that really cares.
Yeah, there's no question, and I've always said this, that our ballpark, when it's packed, I mean, there's not a better place in baseball, and I truly believe that. I remember in 2008, people used to tell us when we were getting set to go down to Tampa, they said, "Oh, you're never going to believe how loud it is there." And, they have the cowbells and stuff like that. And quite honestly, it was loud, but it was not even close to anything that Citizens Bank Park had. I mean, it really wasn't. It was great. The atmosphere was cool and everything. The cowbells were loud, but it still was not, I don't know, it was nothing like Philadelphia. It really wasn't.
Just to bring it back to baseball a little bit before we let you go, where do you fall on the analytics versus old school baseball spectrum?
Well,
it's kind of like a spectrum now. Nobody wants to be labeled one thing or the other. So you fall somewhere along that spectrum.
Yeah, I am. I guess. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I've been doing this will be my 19th year in the big leagues. I've been broadcasting professional baseball since I was 26. I mean, I guess I would fall into the old school part of it only because that's where I basically learned the game. But I am also realistic to know that the game has changed and we have to change with it. So whether we agree with it or not, we have to at least understand it and, understand why things are done a certain way. So that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to be really open-minded about it. I do think sometimes, and this is just my personal opinion, I do think sometimes that people lean on it too much. And I think the Dodgers were a very good case in point during the postseason, and particularly the World Series when, and everybody knows this one part, when Rich Hill was taken out and was just humming along. I mean, if it were me, I would have just let him go. And if he gave up the lead, okay. But if he put if it got dicey, okay, then maybe bring somebody else in. But that's where I think that I think the numbers are good. I think there's some of the analytic numbers that I don't agree with, but that's fine. I like isolated power. I think that's a really good one. But I'm not a huge fan of XFIP just because of, I know it's all projecting, but I think it's sometimes hard to not include exit velocity or, other parameters into into the statistical mind. So I do stay away from it, but I know other people like it and I think it's fine. I just kind of pick and choose, if I feel like I can explain it in a very short capsule, I'll use it on the air. But I'll tell you what I do like. I do like all of the, the graphics and things like that we now have because of AWS. I think that stuff's cool. Like when you show where a defender starts and finishes, I think that's kind of neat. I never thought I would like that as much, but I really do like that kind of stuff.
Stuff with like a visual representation behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's my personality. Maybe I need to see it more than anything else. But, again, I recognize that it's a needed part of the world in baseball right now. It might be cyclical. I don't know. I mean, that's for, for us to know 5 years down the road. But I have these scorecards on my wall, these special moments that I broadcasted. I have Cole Hamels no-hitter and my lineup card. I have Roy Halladay's perfect game and the lineup card. And I just think that those days we may not see a guy complete a game like Roy Halladay completed a game as consistently as he did. That to me is hard, but listen, that's the way the game is. And I think it might change eventually. I wish it would, but I don't know if it will in the foreseeable future.
Right. I mean, I'm 35. I'm not that old, but I still feel like I'm an old school guy. And I wrote a book with a guy, very analytical, Ryan Spader. He's 29 and only a 6-year difference.
Ryan's been great. I mean, Ryan has been huge for me. There's been three guys I've really leaned on. I've leaned on Ryan. I've leaned on Ben Harris from The Athletic, who's now with the Milwaukee Brewers. And I've leaned on Sam Folt from our organization. And Ben Worthen from our organization, too. But yeah, those guys, they have a really good grasp on it. And I think we need those kind of guys.
Right. I mean, there needs to be some sort of mix. So it's good to have that.
Yes.
And it's good to have the other perspective. You bring it together. And that's why I think, you have the right point of view with this. You're using those guys into your beliefs and your broadcast. That's why, me and Ryan came together to write a book. We have kind of different beliefs on things. It gives you the full picture of what you're looking at.
Yeah. And I think you have to have it. I am a prep, I prepare, I over prepare for games. And I think that's why I try to gobble up as much as I can informationally to try to understand, what's right, what should be used, what shouldn't be used, that kind of thing. And, again, it's going to change again before my lifetime is over. So you just kind of embrace what you can embrace.
I have one more question for you before we let you go. And this is a really broad question. You've worked so many different sports, so many different teams, so many different incredible games. Is there one, or you've already kind of pointed out a couple, But is there like one or two that you were on the edge of your seat during that it was the most exciting game or a couple games that you can remember?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Halliday perfect game is the game that really stands out to me. I mean, that to me was that was special. I mean, and I may never see a perfect game again. I may never see a pitcher like him again. That was pretty special. I do think Cole's no-hitter was pretty cool too. Basketball wise, I did my first NCAA tournament was Princeton against UCLA when UCLA was the defending national champions some years ago. It was Pete Carrill, his last year as the head coach of Princeton, a legendary coach. Doing that game was pretty special because it was my first NCAA game. But I think the Halliday one has to be the biggest one. I don't think anything will ever top that, honestly.
That was a great day. I mean, everybody, for the most part, people were watching the Flyers game.
Yes.
And I remember
flipping over. Yeah.
I had two TVs. I was watching each game on each TV. I was calling everyone I knew. Said, you got to switch. You got to switch.
What was neat is that the Johnson kid, Josh Johnson from the Marlins, he pitched really well that night.
He was a great pitcher.
He was a great pitcher who unfortunately was sidetracked because of injuries. And there was barely anybody in the stands, which was really a shame. But that's just the way it is. It was just, I in the seventh and eighth inning, the adrenaline rush I know I had, I'm sure a lot of other people had. That to me was, it was real. It's really hard to duplicate that.
Tom McCarthy, thank you so much for being with us on our show. We really, really, really appreciate it. You're an absolute legend in Philadelphia and all over, and we really appreciate you being on our show.
Yeah, guys, I enjoyed it very much, and gives me gets me excited because baseball hopefully is right around the corner. So
that's right.
We're getting there.
Yep, we're getting there.
All
Thanks
right,
so much, Tom. Appreciate it. So real quick, before we get out of here, go to the week. The greatest all-time
of the week.
Mine is non-sports related, but I got to go with the now late, great Stan Lee. He created a universe of imperfect people doing extraordinary things. And through his incredible long life, he influenced countless people. And his legacy will live forever. It's incredible.
And I think it's so disrespectful you're calling him the GOAT of the week. He's just the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
I've always wondered how many times during his life where people said, all right, name? Stan Lee. Last name?
Yeah.
It had to come up a lot,
I'm
right?
sure it probably did.
Until he became somebody.
God, man. Everything he did was just absolutely incredible. Marvel, all that stuff. It's so vast and just absolutely incredible.
So my GOAT of the week, can't top that. My GOAT of the week is us not mistakenly calling Tom McCarthy Tom McGinnis. I think we all had some pretty good Tom McGinnis impressions that we didn't even know we had. I think we should just do our Tom McGinnis impressions.
He's the nicest kid in the country.
Joel Embiid for the top of the key, and he nails it.
He slams him in.
There's something about NBA announcers where it has to be like you're almost dying on every play.
I was saying we were listening to a game on the way home one night. And I don't remember the name of the player he was talking about. It was somebody on the other team. And he's like, he's getting physical on the floor. It's crazy. He's one of the nicest kids in the country.
Joel Embiid, they say you can't go home again, but he shoves it home for two.
Crazy.
So us not screwing that up is our GOAT of the week.
It was great. It was a great episode, great interview. CJ, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And also thank you for getting us through the Matrix. and on to different platforms.
There's always more to do.
There's always more to do. We actually need to talk about that once I stop recording. Kevin Reevey, fantastic job tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
We're going to have to hear from Mitch next week or whenever he can pay his phone bill from losing all his money from
Oh, I
gambling.
feel so bad for Mitch.
Too bad for Mitch.
Oh, shit. What did we do?
Everybody have a great rest of your week. Might be Brews coming up on Friday, so tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll see you then. Talk to you later. Oh, and real quick before I forget, shout out to everybody that commented on my Facebook post looking for questions for Tom McCarthy. We didn't get to all the questions, but shout out to co-host Danny, Dustin Curtis, JJ King, Madeline Eagle, Lee Hammond, Dan Moretz, just to name a few. Thanks so much for all the input. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.